In mathematical physics, today we are going to start a new chapter, curvilinear coordinates. Actually, the concept of curvilinear coordinates is also very important for the discussion of physical problems of interest. So, to know the idea of curvilinear coordinates, let us see this figure. In fact, in this figure, I have shown three surfaces. You can see there are three surfaces defined by the equations u1 equal to c1, u2 equal to c2, and u3 equal to c3. In fact, these three surfaces intersect one another at the three curves. The curve of intersection of the surface u2 equal to c2 and u3 equal to c3 is known as u1 curve. You can see in this figure. This is your u1 curve. And similarly, the intersection of the surfaces u1 equal to c1 and u2 equal to c3 is the curve u2. And similarly, the intersection of the surfaces u2 equal to c2 and u1 equal to c1 is the curve u3. Actually, these quantities c1, c2, c3, these are constants, and u1, u2, u3 are single valued functions of positions. So when you consider the three surfaces like u1 equal to c1, u2 equal to c2, u3 equal to c3, where all these ci are constants, then the surfaces which intersect at this point P, you can see such surfaces are known as coordinate surfaces. So these surfaces you may call it coordinate surfaces. Coordinate surfaces. And as I have told you that these surfaces intersect one another at different curves, u1 curve, u2 curve, and u3 curve, as you can see in this figure. Actually, these curves of intersection are called coordinate lines. So u1 is a coordinate line, u2 is another coordinate line, and u3 is the third coordinate line. Now, if you will draw tangents to the curves u1, u2, and u3 at the point P, then the line drawn in the tangential directions at point P are known as coordinate axes. So these dotted lines along which I have shown the unit vectors e1 hat, e2 hat, and e3 hat, these lines which are actually tangential to the coordinate curves at point P are actually known as coordinate axes. Coordinate axes. Now, if the relative orientation of the coordinate surfaces changes from point to point, then the quantities u1, u2, and u3, these three quantities are known as general curvilinear coordinates. These are called general curvilinear coordinates. General curvilinear coordinates. Now, if you consider a condition that the two surfaces, any two surfaces, intersect one another everywhere mutually perpendicular, in that condition, these quantities u1, u2, and u3 are known as orthogonal curvilinear coordinates. Actually, orthogonal curvilinear coordinates are more practical importance, because in real physical problem you will see that we always consider orthogonal curvilinear coordinate system. So you can say that these quantities u1, u2, u3, which are solvable actually in terms of the position vector, these quantities will be called orthogonal curvilinear coordinates, but only when the three surfaces are everywhere mutually perpendicular to one another. All these terms of definitions which I have just mentioned, I have written here in very short for your convenience. Now let us see that these curvilinear coordinates or u1, u2, u3 and the position coordinates are actually interrelated to one another. If you know the Cartesian coordinate or position coordinate of a point in a space, then that Cartesian coordinates may be expressed as a function of general curvilinear coordinates. And the converse is also true, that the general curvilinear coordinates may be expressed as a function of these space coordinates, that is x1, x2 and x3 or xyz. And those relations are actually known as transformation equations. So we assume that the two set of transformations equation will exist here, and what will be those two set of transformation equation you can see. So number one is, it is assumed that the following transformation exist. We write the x coordinate of Cartesian coordinate system as x1, and this can be expressed as a function of the variables u1, u2 and u3. Similarly, y is written as x2, and that can be expressed as a function of u1, u2 and u3. And z is written as x3 for convenience, and that can be expressed as a function of u1, u2 and u3. So this transformation equation exists here. The Cartesian coordinates xyz or x1, x2, x3 have been expressed as a function of the general curvilinear coordinates u1, u2 and u3. In fact, these equations are also solvable in terms of the general curvilinear coordinates u1, u2 and u3. In other words, you can say, just as a converse, we can express u1, u2 and u3 as a function of xyz or x1, x2, x3. We can express it. So the converse of this equation also exists. So it is found that these equations are also solvable for u1, u2, u3. That is, you can say, we can express u1 as a function of x1, x2, x3. x1, x2, x3. In fact, instead of xyz, we use the symbol x1, x2, x3 for convenience. You will say the utility of such a symbol later on. And now u2 can be expressed as a function f2 of x1, x2, x3, and u3 is equal to f3 x1, x2, x3. So these are the transformation equations between the general curvilinear coordinates u1, u2, u3 and the Cartesian coordinates x1, x2, x3. Now see the figure. Here the point P where the three coordinate surfaces intersect one another. If you consider that in Cartesian coordinate the position vector of this point P is equal to r, it means when you will join this origin of Cartesian coordinate system to this point and this position vector is r, then actually according to the transformation equation which I have mentioned here, you can express the position vector r of the point P as a function of u1, u2 and u3 according to this transformation equation. Instead of x1, x2, x3, we can write a position vector r. So now as position vector r of the point P, this may be expressed as x1 I hat plus, there should be x2. x2 j hat plus x3 k hat. So instead of x1, x2 and x3 in this equation 1, we can write a single variable r in vector form. So you can write, so in the light of equation 1, we can write that position vector r of point P is actually equal to a function of u1, u2 and u3. And as r is equal to r of u1, u2, u3, so as element of displacement you can write this. So an element of displacement. When you say an element of displacement, what does it mean? It means a very infinite simul change in r. You can see if this vector is r, then if this point P is slightly displaced to the point Q, then position vector of Q will be r plus dr, and this dr is an infinite simul change in r, which is known as elementary displacement or an element of displacement. An element of displacement is given by, this will be given by dr. And since you can see r is a function of three independent variables u1, u2, u3, so to find the value of dr we must use the concept of partial differentiation. So you can see here this dr will be expressed as del r by del u1 du1. You know, when we will differentiate r with respect to u1 partially, it means you have to keep u2 and u3 as constant, and plus del r by del u2 du2 and plus del r by del u3 du3. And see this expression in RHS. In compact form, this expression in RHS can be expressed by the use of sign of summation in a compact form. So you can write this expression in this way. This dr can be written as summation del r by del ui dui, where I runs from 1 to 3. And actually this is equal to ds. Actually ds, you can say this is just arc length. We can say this ds is arc length. Actually in the forthcoming session we will also discuss this arc length in very detail, but here you can see that this elementary displacement is nothing, this is simply the arc length. Now we will find what will be the square of this length of displacement, that is what will be the square of this arc length. So you can say the square of the length of this displacement, what will be this? This ds square may be expressed as dr dot dr, because you know a square of any vector means a scalar product of the vector with same vector, and we can express this scalar product in this way as dr is equal to this much, you can see in this figure. So in the light of this equation 3, you can write dr dot dr in this way. This is summation I1 to 3 summation j1 to 3, and for one of the dr we write del r by del ui dui dot. For another dr you will write del r by del uj duj, or you can also write this expression in this manner. This is I1 to 3 summation j 1 to 3, this is del r by del ui dot del r by del uj and dui duj. This is a very easy calculation, you can easily see this. Now it is obvious that this vector del r by del u1, or in general you can say this del r by del u1, del ui, in general you write del ui. This vector is actually tangential to the curve, tangential to the ui curves. It means you can see this figure that when you draw a tangent at point P to the curve u1, then this will represent actually in this direction this vector is. This is del r by del u1. Similarly, along this tangent which is tangent to the curve u2, this vector del r by del u2 is, and similarly in along the tangent drawn at p to the curve u3, the vector is del r by del u3. So these vectors del r by del ui, you can say these are actually the vectors tangential to the ui curve at point P. And so you can consider that these tangential vectors are represented by a particular symbol. So let ai equal to del r by del ui and aj equal to del r by del uj. Let us consider it. So you can say that these vectors ai and aj are tangential to the three curves. So in the light of this supposition, you can write your equation number 4 in terms of ai and aj. In fact, instead of del r by del ui, we will write ai, and instead of this del r by del uj, we will write aj. So equation 4 can be written as this can be written as ds square equal to, see the equation, there is summation I 1 to 3 summation over j 1 to 3, and there is in fact you can say del r by del ui, but instead of this we will write ai. So this is vector ai dot, and then there is del r by del uj, and for that we will write now aj and dui duj. This result may be written as summation over I 1 to 3 summation over j 1 to 3, and this scalar product of ai and aj is written by the symbol gij, and so this is gij dui duj, and say this is your equation 5. In fact, here we have used the symbol gij instead of ai dot aj. So you can say here this gij is equal to ai dot aj, and these are actually the ai and aj are actually the vectors along the tangents to the different u curves. Now you know from the property of a scalar product of two vectors that the scalar product of two vectors is commutative. So as you can see, ai dot aj is equal to aj dot ai, because you know the scalar product of two vectors is commutative, and so this implies that gij, when you write ai dot aj, that will be gij, and aj dot ai can be written as gji. So a very important property of this quantity gij, you can see here, that Gij is equal to Gji, it means this quantity Gij is symmetric. So this implies Gij is symmetric, because after the interchange of this indices I and j, the quantity does not change, and so this quantity Gij will be symmetric. When you say Gij equal to Gji, what does it mean? It means G12 will be equal to G21, G13 will be equal to G31, G23 will be equal to G32, and so on, and so on. Actually, these quantities Gij are known as metric coefficients, and this Gij, you can say, what are the Gij? These are known as metric coefficients. Metric coefficients. And actually these quantities characterize the relative nature of the space. In fact, it finds a vivid application when we study the general relativity, where the orientation of the nature of our space is very important. So this quantity finds its application while discussing the general relativity. But here I am just giving you a very brief introduction about this, that this quantity are known as metric coefficient, and it characterize the relative nature of the space. Actually, when we consider general curvilinear coordinates, then these ai and aj, which we have considered instead of del r by del ui and del r by del uj, these quantities may vary in direction and magnitude both from point to point. And so in that so you can say that the value of Gij will depend on the relative nature of the space. So this metric Gij are metric coefficient, and this implies the relative nature of the space. So this is a just brief introduction to curvilinear coordinates. I would like to share one thing with you, that you have studied definitely in your lower classes different coordinate system like Cartesian coordinate system, a spherical polar coordinate system, cylindrical coordinate system. Actually, all these coordinate systems are a special cases of these generalized curvilinear coordinate system. So actually, after getting the just a brief idea of generalized coordinate system, you will see later on how these generalized coordinates system will deal with the proper orthogonal coordinate system. And so in the forthcoming lecture we will see the special cases. So in one sentence you can say that all the curvilinear coordinates which you know already are actually the special cases of generalized curvilinear coordinate system.